I never thought desire could be so complicated. At 19, the only things I thought about were grades, my future, and maybe the occasional harmless crush on girls my age. But everything changed the summer. I started spending more time at my best friend's house, the summer I met her. Her name was Elena. She wasn't just beautiful, she was magnetic. The kind of woman who made you forget how to breathe just by walking into a room. My best friend Chloe introduced her so casually. "Hey, this is my stepmom, Elena," Chloe had said, rolling her eyes like it wasn't a big deal. But it was. Elena was in her early 30s, with sharp green eyes and hair the color of dark wine. She had the elegance of someone who knew the effect she had on people, yet carried herself with an ease that made her untouchable. The first time she shook my hand, her fingers lingered a little too long, her lips curving in a half-smile that seemed knowing. From that moment, my world tilted. I started noticing her in ways I shouldn't have. The way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was reading, the way her laughter filled the kitchen when Chloe's dad cracked a bad joke, the faint scent of vanilla and smoke that clung to her whenever she walked past me. And sometimes, I swore she noticed me too. One afternoon, Chloe had gone upstairs to grab something, leaving me alone in the living room. Elena entered, holding a glass of wine. Her silk blouse shimmered faintly in the afternoon light. "You and Chloe have been friends for years, haven't you?" she asked, lowering herself onto the couch beside me. "Yes," I managed, my voice catching a little. Her eyes lingered on me for a beat. Too long, lingered, like she was reading something on my face that I didn't even know was there. Then Chloe came back and the spell broke. But that look haunted me all night. The weeks that followed felt like an endless push and pull. Sometimes she was just Chloe's stepmom, offering us snacks, driving us to the mall, chatting about college applications. But other times she was something else entirely. Like the day I wore a sundress, and her gaze flickered down for a split second too long. Or when her fingers brushed mine as she handed me a mug, and neither of us pulled away quickly enough. Or when I caught her watching me in the reflection of the window, while everyone else was distracted. These moments weren't accidents, and I couldn't tell if they were dangerous or intoxicating. One evening, Chloe went out with some other friends, and I stayed behind. I told her I was tired, but the truth was, I wanted to be near Elena. She found me sitting in the backyard, pretending to scroll on my phone. The air smelled of summer rain. She stepped out with a glass of red wine in her hand. "Alone tonight?" she asked. "Yeah," I said, trying not to sound nervous. She sat across from me, the dim porch light softening her features. For a long moment, we just listened to the crickets. Then out of nowhere, she asked, "Do you know how dangerous it is to look at someone the way you look at me?" My breath caught. I don't know what you mean." My voice was barely above a whisper. Her lips curved into that same knowing smile. She leaned closer, her hand brushing mine. "Oh, I think you do." The world seemed to tilt again. My pulse roared in my ears. But before I could respond, the sound of a car door slammed. Chloe was home. Elena pulled back, smooth as ever, like nothing had happened. But everything had. The beginning of something. That night, lying in bed, I knew the truth. I was falling for her, my best friend's stepmom. Forbidden, wrong, dangerous. And yet, I couldn't stop. The way she looked at me told me I wasn't alone in this. Something was beginning. Something that could ruin everything. Or give me the kind of love I had only ever dreamed of. And I wasn't sure which one I wanted more. The tension between us had turned into a living thing. It followed me through every visit to Chloe's house, humming in the air like static before a storm. Every glance, every touch, every word, it all carried a secret weight that no one else seemed to notice. But I noticed, and I knew she did too. It happened one late evening, when Chloe begged me to stay over to help with her essay. We sat in her room for hours, but eventually she grew restless. "I'm going to bed. You can crash here or in the guest room if you're staying," she yawned. I agreed, pretending to still be busy. But the moment her door clicked shut, I found myself drifting out into the hallway. The house was quiet, bathed in soft shadows. That's when I saw it, light spilling from the study downstairs. I hesitated, heart pounding, before slowly descending the steps. And there she was, Elena. She sat at the desk, glasses perched low on her nose, flipping through a book. A single lamp cast golden light across her features, sharpening the angles of her face and softening everything else. I should have turned around. I should have gone back upstairs. But instead, I stepped closer. words left unsaid. She noticed me immediately, her lips curving into that faint smile. "Couldn't sleep?" she asked, voice low, intimate, like she had been expecting me. I shook my head, stepping further into the room. "No, couldn't focus either." She gestured to the chair beside her. "Sit." I obeyed. For a few minutes we sat in silence, the air heavy with unsaid things. I could hear the ticking of the clock, the faint rustle of pages. Then slowly she set the book aside and leaned toward me. "You know," she murmured, "you make it very hard for me to be responsible." My chest tightened. "What do you mean?" Her eyes met mine, steady, unwavering. "The way you look at me, like you want something you're afraid to admit." Heat rushed to my face. I opened my mouth, but no words came. She tilted her head, studying me. "Do you want me to stop noticing?" It was the most dangerous question I'd ever been asked. And I whispered, "No." The silence after that was deafening. Her hand moved first, reaching across the desk, fingertips brushing mine. The contact was electric. Then she stood, circling the desk until she was right in front of me. I looked up at her, breath shallow, every part of me trembling with anticipation. She bent down, her face inches from mine. Her scent, vanilla, smoke, and something warm I couldn't name, surrounded me. "You're so young," she whispered, her breath grazing my lips. So dangerous for me, but she didn't pull away. And neither did I. Our lips met like a secret breaking free. Soft at first, tentative, almost hesitant. But the moment I leaned in, she deepened it. Her hand cradling the back of my head, pulling me closer. The world fell away. It was just her mouth on mine, warm, insistent, intoxicating. A kiss that tasted like every unspoken desire we'd been burying for weeks. When she finally pulled back, my heart was racing so fast I thought I might faint. Her eyes searched mine, dark and unreadable. "This is a mistake," she whispered, though her lips brushed mine again like she didn't believe her own words. And then softer, almost reverent. "But I can't stop." We didn't speak much after that. She pressed one last kiss to the corner of my mouth before stepping back, creating space that suddenly felt unbearable. "You should go upstairs," she said, her voice steadier now. Before Chloe notices, I nodded, but my legs felt heavy, reluctant to leave. As I reached the doorway, I turned back. She was still standing there, watching me with an expression I couldn't quite decipher. Longing. Fear, hunger, maybe all of it at once. And in that look, I knew this was only the beginning. That night, lying awake in the guest room, I pressed my fingers to my lips, replaying the kiss over and over. It wasn't just attraction anymore. It was a fire, a secret flame burning between us. And I knew, sooner or later, it would consume us both. The kiss didn't vanish when the night ended. It lingered in every corner of my thoughts, replaying over and over until I could barely tell the difference between memory and dream. But Elena and I both knew one truth. Once a door is opened, it never truly closes again. The tension returns. The next morning, I tried to act normal at breakfast. Chloe chatted about school gossip while Elena moved gracefully around the kitchen, pouring coffee, slicing fruit, as if nothing had happened. But I felt it. The weight of her gaze. The way her fingers brushed mine when she handed me a plate. The way her lips curved ever so slightly when I looked away too quickly. And Chloe, blissfully unaware. That day was torture. Every laugh, every word exchanged between best friend and mother felt like a reminder of how dangerous my secret had become. But every time Elena's hand brushed my arm, every time our eyes met for a fraction too long, I realized something impossible. I didn't care. It happened again a week later. Chloe had gone to the mall with friends, leaving me alone in the house. I wandered into the library, running my fingers over the rows of books. When the door clicked shut behind me, I turned, and there she was, Elena. "You shouldn't be here," she murmured, stepping closer. My throat tightened. "Neither should you." Her lips twitched. "Touché." For a long moment, we just looked at each other, the silence thick and heavy. Then, without warning, she crossed the space between us and kissed me again. Harder this time, less hesitant, like she had been holding back for too long. I gasped into her mouth, clutching at her shirt as her hand slid around my waist, pulling me flush against her. It wasn't soft anymore. It was hungry, dangerous, a kiss that demanded more. When we finally broke apart, I was breathless. Her voice was husky, almost broken. "Do you have any idea what you're doing to me?" "Yes," I whispered, and I kissed her again. Stolen moments. After that, everything changed. We became shadows in Chloe's house, careful but reckless at the same time. Every glance was loaded, every word double-edged. A touch of her hand on the small of my back when Chloe wasn't looking. A kiss stolen in the hallway when everyone was asleep. Her lips brushing my ear as she whispered, "Later," sending shivers down my spine. The secrecy only made it more intoxicating. We were building a world within a world, one that belonged only to us. The first time it went beyond kissing was on a rainy Friday evening. Chloe was spending the night at a friend's house. I stayed over anyway, pretending I didn't want to walk home in the storm. Elena and I ended up in the living room, the fireplace crackling, the storm raging outside. She poured 2 glasses of wine, and we sat close on the rug, the warmth of the fire dancing across her skin. I couldn't stop staring, at the way the flames flickered in her eyes, at the way her hair fell loose around her shoulders. "You're staring," she said softly, setting her glass aside. "I can't help it," I whispered. Something in her expression shifted then, from restraint to surrender. She leaned forward, brushing her lips against mine. Gentle at first, then deeper, hungrier. The kiss turned into hands, exploring, desperate. My body trembled as she laid me back on the rug, her mouth trailing heat down my neck. "Are you sure?" she whispered against my skin, her voice unsteady. I nodded, pulling her closer. I've never been more sure of anything. And then there was no stopping us. The fire roared, the storm thundered, and our bodies moved together, like we had been waiting our whole lives for this moment. It wasn't just lust. It was something deeper, a connection that burned hotter than any secret, more powerful than any fear. When it was over, she pulled me into her arms, both of us breathless, skin still warm from the fire. "You're going to ruin me," she whispered, half broken, half smiling. "Then let me ruin you," I whispered back. From that night on, we were no longer just stealing kisses. We were lovers. But every secret carries a shadow. Every time I kissed her, I wondered, what happens when Chloe finds out? Every time I held her in the dark, I knew this could never stay hidden forever. And yet I couldn't stop. Neither of us could. Because love, once set free, doesn't care about rules. It only cares about surviving. The secrecy was half the thrill. The stolen glances, the quiet footsteps, the way Elena's lips would brush mine in the kitchen while Chloe's laughter floated in from the living room. But shadows have sharp edges, and sooner or later, someone always notices. Cracks in the secret. It started with small things. One night, after Chloe had gone upstairs, I lingered in the kitchen too long. Elena kissed me against the counter, her hand cupping my cheek, her thumb brushing my lips. Neither of us heard Chloe come down. The sound of footsteps made us break apart instantly. Elena spun around, fumbling with a dish towel, while I pretended to be pouring water. Chloe walked in, squinting. "What are you two doing?" "Nothing," Elena said too quickly, her voice a little too sharp. Chloe frowned but shrugged. Still, her eyes lingered on me, questioning, suspicious. From that moment on, I could feel it. The way Chloe started watching me, the way she watched her mother, the way suspicion began to settle into the cracks of our carefully built lies. The breaking point came 2 weeks later. It was Chloe's birthday. Friends filled the house, laughter echoing through the halls. I tried to act normal, sitting beside Chloe on the couch as music pulsed in the background. But across the room, Elena stood near the fireplace, her eyes finding mine again and again. Every time I looked back, heat crawled up my neck. At one point, I slipped upstairs to catch my breath. I didn't expect Elena to follow. The bedroom door clicked shut, and before I could speak, her lips were on mine. It was reckless, desperate, a kiss we both knew we shouldn't be sharing. With a dozen people downstairs. "God, I can't stay away from you," she whispered, pressing her forehead to mine. Neither of us heard the door open. "Mom?" We froze. Chloe stood in the doorway, wide-eyed, a plastic cup dangling from her fingers. The silence was a blade cutting through the air. I stepped back, my breath caught in my throat. Elena's face drained of color. "Chloe," Elena began, but Chloe's voice broke before hers could finish. "What the hell is going on?" Shattered. The party noise downstairs felt miles away. Chloe's eyes darted between us, realization dawning, her face crumbling with betrayal. "Are you serious? With her, my best friend?" "Chloe, please," I tried to speak, but my voice cracked. "It's not what you think." "Don't lie to me," she shouted, tears welling in her eyes. "I saw you." You were kissing her. Her voice was shaking, but sharp enough to cut me open. Elena reached for her. Sweetheart, please, let me explain. Don't touch me! Chloe recoiled like her mother's hand burned her. How could you do this to me? Both of you? The weight of her words crushed me. My chest ached with guilt. But underneath the guilt was something worse. The truth that I didn't regret loving Elena, not even now. Chloe ran. Down the stairs, out the door, into the night. Elena followed. But I stayed frozen in the bedroom, shaking. The taste of her kiss still on my lips. I knew nothing would ever be the same. That was the night our secret burned down. But sometimes, it's only when the fire starts that you learn what was real all along. The house felt hollow after Chloe ran out. Her laughter, her presence, her trust, gone in one violent rush of truth. I stood in the upstairs hallway, my chest tight, my body trembling. Downstairs, the birthday party carried on, oblivious to the way our lives had just shattered. Elena came back inside, her face pale, her mascara streaked from crying. She shut the door softly, but the silence between us was deafening. She hates me, Elena whispered. She hates us, I corrected, my throat raw. And for the first time, neither of us moved toward the other. Chloe didn't come home that night. Elena paced the living room until dawn. Calling, texting, begging for her to answer. Nothing. When Chloe finally returned the next morning, she didn't even look at me. Her eyes were red, her face puffy, but her voice was ice. I don't want to see you here anymore, she said to me. The words hit like a punch. Chloe, don't you dare, she snapped. You were supposed to be my best friend, my safe place. And you, her voice cracked. You went behind my back with my mom. I tried to reach for her, but she stepped away like my touch was poison. Get out, she whispered. I looked at Elena. Her eyes glistened. Her lips parted as if to speak. But Chloe's voice cut sharper. And you're my mother. How could you? How could you ever think this was okay? Elena's face crumpled. Chloe, I didn't choose this. It just happened. I fell in love. Don't say it, Chloe snapped. Don't you dare say that. And then she was gone again, slamming the door so hard the windows rattled. Days bled into weeks. I stayed away. Elena and I exchanged messages in secret, but they were hesitant. Fragile things, half love, half apology. I miss you. I can't stop thinking about you. I don't know how to fix this. Every word pulled me back to her, but the guilt anchored me down. Chloe stopped answering me entirely. At school, she avoided me, her gaze sliding past mine like I didn't exist. Each time it cut deeper than the last. But the truth stayed, I loved Elena, even when it hurt, even when it was wrong, even when it tore everything else apart. 3 weeks later, Chloe finally agreed to see us both. We sat in the living room, me on one side, Elena on the other, Chloe standing in the middle like a storm ready to break. I don't get it, she said, her voice hollow. Why her? Why my best friend? Elena's voice trembled. I didn't mean for this to happen, Chloe. I never wanted to hurt you. But the more time we spent together, the more I realized I love her. Not as your friend, as mine. Chloe's eyes snapped to me, full of fire. And you? You couldn't find anyone else in the whole damn world? Tears burned my eyes. I didn't mean to fall for her, but I did. And I can't pretend I didn't. The silence that followed was unbearable. Then Chloe laughed, sharp, bitter, broken. You two deserve each other. You're both liars. Elena reached for her again, but Chloe pulled back. I don't know if I can ever forgive you. And then she left, the door closing with a quiet finality that felt worse than a slam. That night, Elena and I sat in her kitchen, the silence between us heavy with grief. Maybe she's right, I whispered. Maybe we don't deserve this. Elena's eyes filled, but she shook her head firmly. No, don't you dare say that. I've lost too much already. I won't lose you too. Her hand found mine, trembling but strong. I love you, she said. And it was the most certain thing I'd ever heard in my life. And in that moment, I knew, no matter how messy, no matter how broken, I wasn't letting go either. The weeks after Chloe's ultimatum were the hardest of my life. The house felt like a battlefield after the war had ended. Quiet, but full of ghosts. Chloe avoided me completely. If I texted, she left me on read. If I called, it went unanswered. At school, she pretended I didn't exist. For Elena, it was worse. She lived with Chloe's silence. The slammed bedroom door. The sound of muffled crying at night. The way her daughter, the person she'd raised and loved for years, now looked at her like she was a stranger. One afternoon, Elena texted me. She finally spoke to me today. Just one sentence. She said, "I don't hate you. I just don't know who you are anymore." My chest ached at the words, but it was something. A thread of hope. "Maybe she'll come around," I whispered, more to myself than to Elena. 2 nights later, Elena showed up at my apartment. Her hair was messy, her eyes red from crying. But when she looked at me, there was fire beneath the exhaustion. "I can't keep living like this," she said. My breath caught. "Elena, I know Chloe's hurting. I know she might never forgive me. But I also know this, I love you. And if I lose you too, then what was all this pain for?" I swallowed hard, my throat tight. "Are you saying—" She nodded. "I want us. No more hiding. No more shame. If Chloe hates me forever, I'll survive it. But I can't survive losing you." I kissed her then, slow, desperate, full of everything we'd been holding back. And for the first time in weeks, I felt alive again. Chloe walks in, but fate wasn't done testing us. The next morning, Chloe came home early from a friend's place, only to find me in the kitchen, wearing one of Elena's shirts, cooking breakfast. Her eyes went wide. Then they narrowed. "So that's it," she said coldly. "You're just together now? Like I don't even matter?" I froze, the pan still sizzling on the stove. Elena rushed forward. "Chloe, wait!" "No," Chloe's voice broke. "You made your choice. Both of you did." Her eyes brimmed with tears. "I don't know if I can ever forgive you. But I'm done hating you. I'm done letting this eat me alive." Then she looked at me, her once best friend, and whispered, "I hope you're worth it." And she walked upstairs. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet. But it was a beginning. Slowly, painfully, the ice between Chloe and her mother began to thaw. They started eating dinner together again. Small talk at first, then longer conversations. Laughter returned in tiny bursts, fragile but real. With me, Chloe stayed distant. Civil but cold. Until one night, after weeks of silence, she pulled me aside. "Do you love her?" she asked, her voice low, trembling. I nodded. "With everything I have." Her jaw tightened. Tears gathered in her eyes. But then, slowly, she nodded. "Then don't screw it up," she whispered and walked away. Months passed. Seasons changed. And in that time, what was broken began to stitch itself back together. Chloe never fully approved, but she accepted. She saw the way her mother glowed around me. She saw the way I cherished Elena, never treating her as a secret or mistake. And one evening, at dinner, Chloe finally smiled, really smiled, at the two of us. "I still think it's weird," she said. "But if you make her happy, then I guess that's what matters." Elena's eyes filled, mine too. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough. A year later, Elena and I stood on the balcony of a beach house we'd rented for the summer. The ocean stretched out before us, endless and shimmering, just like the life we were building together. She slipped her arms around my waist, pressing her lips against my neck. "Do you ever regret it?" I whispered. Her laugh was soft, full of love. "Never, not even for a second." I turned in her arms, kissed her deeply, and felt the world finally settle into place. Because love, no matter how complicated, how forbidden, how broken, had won. And this time it was ours to keep.